like I said before, I want to keep everything on this platform as transparent as possible and keep everyone as up to date with the process as possible. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing, and also what I'm going to try and be doing today. I've got a long walk home. So I thought I'd keep myself company with a long form audio where I can just sort of get off my chest a few thoughts and feelings of what the brand's been going through recently, what I've been going through recently, some things that I've been trying to work on, some issues that I've been facing. Because like I said, the transparency is, if you hear a lot of traffic in the background, I do apologise. And if you do hear any shouting, it's me crossing roads and nearly getting run over, so do forgive me for that. But like what I was saying, recently I've just had a few struggles in terms of prioritising workloads. And what I mean by that is, where I've set everything up and I understand the importance of so many different platforms, and I understand the importance of different social media elements for your brand, for the infrastructure, and it feels a little bit to me recently like I've been trying to boil the ocean. Feels like I've been putting 10% into 100 things instead of 100% in 10 things. And I guess half the game is understanding where to apply your efforts and know when to pick things up and drop things. So I'm not upset, or I'm not getting down on myself that I haven't been doing X, Y, Z, or been focusing more time to other things. But I guess at the moment I'm really just trying to think, what do I prioritise the most? Do I stick with things that are indexing best if I look at metrics, or do I stick with things where I feel like that's going to have the most amount of impact long term? And it's about finding this balance for me at the moment of doing things that are going to gain me exposure and gain traction to actually propel the brand somewhat, but also do things that are going to play into that infrastructure. Like I said, the website that I've been creating has been taking quite a lot of my time up. It's prohibited me from making as much organic content as I would like, fight breakdowns and previews and getting in front of the camera, which I can appreciate is pretty much only a short-term fix. And they're just, the only reason I'm saying it is just because they're not habits that I want to get into. They're not habits that I want to manifest over time. And if I put it on paper, or if I create an audio of something like this and I can reflect on it, then I can see what's what's taking up my time, and what maybe I should apply myself a little bit more to. Because when I created the website, it's solely because I wanted a physical platform. I know obviously we have all the other ones, but I wanted a physical platform where there were forums, where you could engage in conversations, where there are Q&As, and where you could feel more a part of a community, I guess. You have your own login profile, you can interact with different people under a username, and it's just another level to that community, I think, that I've wanted to create. But where I've spent a lot of time on there, like I said, I've probably spent less on other things. So it's just about weighing that up at the moment. And that's definitely one thing that I've struggled with. But like I said, it's one of them things that you look back on and you reflect on, and then you see where you can go better. I think I'm pretty harsh on myself a lot of the time. I think the thing that I struggle with is I know what I can be doing. I know when I say I know what other brands are doing, it's not to say I'm comparing myself to other brands, but it's to say those things could be indexing well, or those things I like, and that could be good for the platform. But like I said, it's just about managing that workload at the moment. I do see the website as one of the most sort of important hubs, because not only that, but the articles I'm going to be writing for it are hopefully going to be some of my best indexing, best performing pieces of content. And also it's a good thing for me because it bridges the gap in between platforms that I really wanted. The one thing that my website is going to give me in terms of, I don't want to call it blogs because they're not blogs, the thing that the articles are going to give me is being able to write that longer form content, because I do actually really like doing that. I think that's always been one of my core strengths throughout school, was always the writing in the longer form. Definitely not a completely up to scratch version of it. Every time I send it off to send any work off to one of my friends to proofread, it comes back and I feel like an absolute child. But I do enjoy doing it. I do really enjoy doing it. So by writing about fights and things that are happening in the news, it gives me a little bit more freedom to express more of the thoughts, because on Instagram, and long form's good on Instagram, long form is actually very good on Instagram, but you don't always want to be churning out 10 paragraphs per post, because your engagement is going to be obviously a lot less. And especially when you're dealing with topics that are very quick fire topics, like fight announcements and dropouts and things of that nature, you don't always need as much information to digest. A lot of people will want to go there and just pick up the main sort of points on that. So I'm excited to do that. The next thing that I'm going to sort of go home and try and work on is having a look at the SEO. Coming from a marketing background, being in affiliate marketing and all things of that nature, I understand the importance of it. I started understanding even more so the importance of it on YouTube. When I first had a look at those YouTube analytics, they looked alien to me. They honestly looked so alien, and if anyone's listening to this that has a YouTube channel, is fairly new, you'll know what I mean. You click on there and there's a few metrics that you understand: views, likes, watch hours. But even something like watch hours, it's hard to compute. Is that good? Is that bad? Is 400 a lot? Is it not a lot? So the first time I saw them, I was thrown off, and I wasn't scared off by them, but one thing that I definitely acknowledge is I had no idea how to interpret them. I had no idea how to interpret them, but I also saw how vast they were and how many there were of them, which made me think there's going to be a lot of value in these. There's going to be a lot of usage in them. So what I did is I went away and just found a good channel. Now, I know this is easier said than done, and this is going to sound like a bit of an obvious piece of advice, but when you find yourself in a YouTube rabbit hole, try and actively find someone's channel that you like to engage with. Whether you just resonate more with how they speak, how they convey things, how they edit their videos, whatever that may be, try and find someone that you can trust that conveys a message clearly to you, and subscribe to them, stick with them, show some support in the process. I find myself commenting on all sorts of profiles. I think when you start a YouTube, you really do have a newfound respect for the people out there doing what they do. So I always find myself on editing videos and whatnot, just being appreciative that they've made these videos. Oh my goodness, I'm walking and there's just a squirrel that's hopping out of long grass. It just terrified me. But yeah, you just find a newfound respect. So whenever I find myself doing something like that, I always show a little bit of love. But the point I was going back to is, I know it sounds obvious, but when you find someone that you can engage with well, you then sort of have this trust where you can go back to that channel and pick up new bits of information. And that's what I did with it. That's what I did with the YouTube analytics side of things. There was this one girl who, just super simple, no ulterior motive, wasn't trying to get me to click affiliate links or buy a course or a book, which is always an important one for me. I know there are people out there that are creating amazing pieces of content with a price tag on it. I've got nothing against those people. But the world I've grown up in social media, and the people I've been exposed to, has just already put this negative preconception onto it. And it isn't right, and I don't look at everyone that's selling it something and think, oh, they've got no information to offer. But my first thought is just that they're trying to extract something from me. And the reason I say that is because where I was most exposed to this is when I first started in the sort of fitness industry, just as a consumer, just as someone that was going to the gym and trying to just, I was going to say get swole, but better myself would probably be a better use of the term, because that's what I was trying to do. I just wasn't very confident when I would go on the internet and just try and better myself. But every corner I turned down would be, oh, do you want to know how to look like this or get like this or be like this in X amount of weeks? If you currently look like this, yes. Every light bulb in your head is just ringing at the same time. Yes. And then it comes with the hook of buy my ebook, buy my nutrition course, buy this, buy that. And it just pushed me to become somewhat desensitized to that angle. So not only just giving this information away for free, not only giving it away in a nice digestible way, but just a trustworthy way as well, because you come with no ulterior motive then to say, okay, buy my ebook. So you know they're not trying to extract anything from you. It's a very convoluted way of just saying find YouTubers that you trust, and that can be for anything. When people sometimes say to me, oh, who do you watch about this or this? Sometimes the quickest way, obviously, recommendations is always good, and having a Google to see who people like in forums, but sometimes you just have to immerse yourself in the rabbit hole and find out for yourself, because there is no one size fits all, and someone that you very much like, someone else very much will not. But anyway, I'm sort of going off on my original point, which was YouTube analytics. Like I was saying, the more I looked into them, the more I realised how much potential was actually within them. How much growth was actually within them was one thing that sort of was quite staggering to me. The way that you can be, firstly, the way that you have access to all these metrics for free is crazy. There's so many things online trying to get you to pay for so many systems that YouTube does a really, really good job of that. So if you can learn and understand those analytics more in depth and better, then the better your channel's going to do. Instantly, something that I identified was the reason why I was saying about all this is SEO, is search engine optimization, if you're not familiar with that. And that's a very fancy way of basically just saying making the content right and optimized for your platform. So the thing that made the difference with my YouTube, for example, is understanding the SEO and the rankings and the word rankings of the titles and the descriptions, and understanding that keywords that were trending on YouTube and Google are going to index a lot better within your titles, and the way that you structure your titles and what you include in your description. So instead of before, one thing that I was doing is just pretty much having a video, writing a little line or two in the description, whatever came to my mind, and then just saying the standard, if you enjoy it, hit the subscribe button and whatnot. The more I looked into that, the more I realised that that was not the way to go about it whatsoever. There is actually very much a recipe to success on YouTube, and the more time I took actually putting the tags on my videos, writing the descriptions out, you see the difference. You instantly see the difference very, very quickly. So it's definitely something that I looked on that I need to double down on. But this is like what I was saying before, it's quite easy for myself to get hard on myself and not put myself down, but acknowledge that I'm not doing the most, when in reality I'm actually doing a lot. I'm just not satisfied. So I think sometimes when I even air the faults, you realise, I am doing a lot, I'm just maybe not content, which is a blessing and a curse. I think coming up over this next week, I think we're on Wednesday now, coming up over this next week, a couple of things I really want to get down, a couple of things I really want to focus on. My LinkedIn strategy. LinkedIn is just, I know it's a gold mine sitting there, ready to just be exploited. There is just not enough content on there for the demand that it has. And you see these posts organically do crazy astronomical figures. I've only got to flick on my own personal LinkedIn and I see someone with 30,000 likes and shares just because they've got a new job. Imagine if that was on Facebook, or if that was on any other platform, Instagram for example. If I get a new job and put it on Instagram, I'd be lucky to get 100 accounts here, but LinkedIn's organic reach is so exponential at the moment, the same with TikTok. So my thought process, even just as I say this out loud, is maybe this is going to be my time to double down on them. So I'm thinking, where can I best spend my time? Maybe that's the wrong way of looking at it. Maybe it's having a look at the external, the environment, what's doing best at that current time, and maybe look to reverse engineer the situation a little bit. So maybe look towards my LinkedIn and my TikTok, double down on them. Not to say neglect everything else, of course not, never going to do that, but to understand where to focus in a little bit more time. Even, like I said, even just me saying this out loud, I sort of got that idea. So yeah, it's pretty much where I'm at with it at the moment. It's difficult, it's really not easy, because I have all the tools in front of me, I have all the knowledge in front of me in terms of what I want to do and where I want to go with it and stuff. And doing is the hardest part sometimes, which I've been more than proactive with, been doing more than enough work. It's that mindset of need to be doing more that can sometimes get quite contagious and sometimes get quite damaging. But like I said, you can always reassess the situation and just take a bit of context with it. I need to get more religious on timings for posts too. That's one thing. Another thing, every time I'm speaking, I'm just thinking of more and more things I could be doing better, and I just want to air these thoughts so I can read back on them myself and think, right, that's it. LinkedIn, like I said, I need to do a hello world video. That's one thing that I want to do. I want to do an organic video on the website, on the LinkedIn platform, introduces the brand, introduces what I'm about, introduces the journey, and I want to combine the two, my YouTube and the LinkedIn. I want to what I'm doing over here, I want to combine that with LinkedIn in a way. Not quite a fully transparent look behind the scenes, but something along those lines. And obviously, you have to make your content contextual. That's another big thing as well. It's all well and good posting content to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it may be, but if it's not contextual, it's never going to do well. And what I mean by that is making it specific to that platform. So there are some platforms that you can get away with cross-contaminating content a little bit. For example, YouTube Shorts and TikTok. Not wildly different with some of the bits of content that you're going to create for them. Not the same, not exactly the same, but not wildly different. But something like LinkedIn and something like Instagram, for example, very different audiences and very different content you're going to need to create. So the angle I feel like I'm going to lean into in the LinkedIn space is going to be around more the mindset of fighters, more the journey, more the mental welfare constantly. I'll be trying to get interviews with that give a real insight into the journey of it all and the mental side of it all, because there's so many comparisons that you could draw from that onto any other careers. And there are so many things that will cross over so nicely. And even people that aren't fans of mixed martial arts, sometimes they even like to see topics that they know a lot about when it comes to maybe a more professional setting in a different context entirely. So there's definitely a platform out there. I think that's the mistake a lot of people make with LinkedIn, because they think, it's only for business professionals. Well, yeah, it is only for business professionals. I guess that is what the platform is for, but you can squeeze your content into that. You just have to be a little bit more creative. So like I was saying, I'm probably going to lean more on the mental side of things, more on how the physical exercise maybe gets them to feel and how it sort of, I'm not sure, I'm just spitballing ideas. I don't want to just say something for the sake of it. I had obviously my fitness channel not that long ago, and I thought of a lot of ways to sort of include it into the LinkedIn market. But an organic video is definitely the one way I'm going to do them. But that's why I wanted to have the website up and running before I'd even gone into LinkedIn, because I would like to have my articles linked to my profile on there, if that makes sense. Where I'm going to be using these long form pieces of content on my website, and obviously they're going to be written more formally than a TikTok or an Instagram, that will translate quite nicely over to the platform as well. So if I can get little 2-minute, 3-minute articles and just pop them out daily, that's really where I want to sort of go with that. That's another thing that I've just been trying to work on. It's not to say a platform with a gimmick as such, but something that stands out. Maybe that's a everyday version of something, whether that is, well, what I do on this page, whether it's a day in the life, a behind the brand sort of thing. Something that creates familiarity. That's ultimately what I need to establish, because when I'm talking about brand, when I'm talking about community, it's all well and good pumping out these bits of content. It's all well and good talking about fighters and breakdowns and all of that, but if I don't associate personality, or I don't sort of create that infrastructure for a community, then I'm not exactly achieving what I'm setting out to. So, a few things to think of, a few things I just aired off my chest. Until next time, peace.